Hello everybody, how's it going? Ben Gothard here, founder and CEO of Gothard Enterprises, author of CEO at 20, a little book for big dreams. So, today I want to talk to you about something very, very important on your journey to building a content empire, right? Because that's what we're here to do. We're here to help you build a content empire. This is part two. If you haven't seen part one, I'm going to throw a link in the description. You can go check that part out. But today we're going to talk about the nuts and bolts behind your content generation machine. And the reason I use the word machine is because I want to show you how to automate it, right? I want to show you how to automate it. Now I want to give you the theory behind content creation in this video. And then throughout the rest of this course, and throughout the whole training, the whole idea is going to be to automate this, where you spend your time creating and really focusing on the parts that only you can do, and everything else kind of takes care of itself, because we're going to provide you with the system. And I say we, it is myself and my partner in this endeavor, Dr. David Zemmels. He's a PhD, very brilliant man, respect him a lot. Obviously that's why I'm working with him. So let's jump right in with this video on content creation. Now, just a quick caveat before we jump into it. Why is content creation so important, right? Well, when you think about who stands out in today's world with the internet, with social media, with video and text and podcasts and everything, the people who stand out are the ones who've mastered content creation. They're the ones that can give out the most value and attract people to their brand, right? So in essence, the ones who can build their content empire the biggest can reach the most people, right? So that's why it's so important. That's why Dr. David and I are so we're so passionate about this topic. And that's why we are so focused in on building a content empire, because it is so important in today's day and age. So without further ado, let's jump in to part two of how to build a content empire. All right, let's do this.
Now, the most important thing when you are creating your system for making content, your system for content creation, is that it is effective, that your system is effective. If you are finding it difficult to continuously create good, high quality content, then I would look more towards your system of content creation and try to find any ways to improve it. And when I say improve it, I mean improve it in its effectiveness. So if you find that you're spending too much time creating bad content, then nothing that you're doing is working. Okay? So first, take the time to make good content, and that is an effective system for content creation. Now, the second step is to make it efficient. Okay? Once you figured out how to make good, high quality content, then you want to figure out how to make good, high quality content more quickly. So if you can quickly make high quality content, then you are both efficiently and effectively making content. You have an efficient and an effective system for content creation. And the final piece of that puzzle is scalability. How well can you scale your system for content creation? Let's say you're making one video a week on YouTube, and it's very high quality and it doesn't take you very long. Well, can you make 10? Can you make 20? Can you make 50? How long will that take you? How well can you scale it? How well can you leverage your time? So when you go about creating your system for content creation, you need to be keeping in mind all of these things. Just because you can pump out a ton of low quality videos does not mean that it's going to be effective. And just because you can pump out a very high quality video, a single one, does not mean that that is going to be efficient. So focus on quality first, that's effectiveness, efficiency second, that's speed, and then scalability third. Okay, so what do I actually mean by this? What do I mean by a system for content creation? How do you develop a system? Well, I would start by creating content. Just do it. Try it. See what happens. Take however long it takes you to create a high quality video. And there are plenty of steps to do that, but I'm not going to go too much into that in this video. But let's say you pick a topic, you write your script, you film the video, you edit it, and you publish it. Okay, how long did that take you? Did you create a high quality video? Are people interested? Are people watching it? So these are the different things you need to ask yourself when you're making an effective piece of content. And it's not just video. It could be images. How long does it take you to go out and take 50 pictures? Okay, are they all high quality? Okay, how quickly did you take them? Can you scale that up? So if you can take 50 pictures in an hour, can you take 500 pictures in 5 hours? Can you speed up that process? Can you scale it? And same with audio. Audio and video are similar in the fact that somebody either has to be speaking or somebody has to be creating sound, whether it's via musical instrument or by talking or by just making noises somehow. It's typically a consistent, somewhat patterned form of sound. So in this video, for example, I'm talking pretty regularly. Now I take a little bit of time to breathe in between some of my words, and there's an occasional pause, but most of the time it is pretty consistent, and it's a constant flow. So with videos and audio, it needs to be a constant flow, and it has to all be together, and it has to all, again, flow. It has to flow. So do you have a system for creating content that flows? If it's video and audio. If it's images, can you create high quality images? If it's text, have you written a lot of text? Text is probably the easiest type of content to create because you're not on a time crunch. You don't have to shoot an entire body of text because you write it. And just logically think about that. It's easiest to make text. You can come back to it. You can save a Word document. You can pause what you're doing and come back later. And images are kind of like a one and done. You take a picture, that picture's done. You might have to edit it later, but you can edit it later. So the point I'm trying to come across, or to get across to you, is when you're developing your system for content creation, and I highly advise you to develop a system, make sure you're effective first, very high quality. Make sure you're efficient second, you're quick, you can do it without much downtime, without much lag time, and you can do it on a very large scale. It is scalable. Okay? So when you're going to make a system for content creation, I would again start by making content. Write down the steps it took you and make sure to time yourself. So let's say you did the video and it took you 30 minutes to film, it took you 30 minutes to edit, and before all that it took you 15 minutes to come up with a topic. Okay, that's not bad for one video, but maybe what you could do instead is you could spend 30 minutes to come up with an idea for a series of videos. Then you can take 2 hours to film. Let's say it's 6 videos in a row. Let's say you take, instead of 30 minutes to film one video, you take 2 hours to film 6 videos, because you're in the groove, you're flowing, you can get it done more quickly, you're batching it, and then you can edit them all at one time. That's a more efficient system. Now, if the quality is still the same, and you've just made it more efficient, you are allowing yourself to scale, and so on and so forth. So you have to constantly be bettering your process, constantly be bettering your system of content creation, because then you can scale it. and you can put out massive amounts of content. So we've talked about the different types of content. We've talked about a system for content creation. Now I want to talk a little bit about the equipment that you need in order to create good content and in order to get your content creation system up and running. So first and foremost, I want you to completely ignore the picture, and I want you to focus on the word that I'm about to say. Creativity. You need creativity when it comes to content creation. If you are not a creative person, that is okay. You still need to be creative when you're coming up with content. If you're just going to create the same boring content as everybody else, then your content is going to get lost in the noise just like everybody else. However, if you're creative and you come up with better content or more creative content or different content than other people, and you can set yourself apart from the pack, then you're onto something. So the first piece of equipment that you need is your brain, okay? Because you need to be creative and you really need to think hard about what kind of content you want, what kind of message you want to send to your audience, who that audience is. There's a lot of it, okay? And I'm going to get into it more in the third phase of this video, which is how do I actually do it. But you need creativity, okay? Now, besides the somewhat intangible creativity, there are some tangibles that you're going to need. So I want to start with video because that is all encompassing. In order to shoot a video, you need a camera, you need a microphone, you need a computer, you need editing software, and you need a location. Okay, these are the basics of any video. Okay, you don't just see people, or at least professionals, filming a video from their bed. Okay, they're not just sitting in their bed filming a video, unless that happens to be precisely the location that they need. But the location that they pick is very strategic. The location that they pick is very strategic. So when you're filming your video, think about the impact of where you are on your viewers. Think about the impact of the background, of the location. As you can see in this video, the background that I picked for this slide was equipment. Okay? And it's a very nice picture of equipment because that is what I'm talking about. So I want you to have a visual as well as the audio. I want it to kind of come together, and then there's the text of equipment at the top. I want you to experience this content in many different forms. Okay? So you need to identify a good place for your content. You need a camera. Okay? If you're going to shoot a video, then there is no possible way that you can shoot the video without a camera. It's only common sense. But that being said, there are different types of cameras. Do you want to use more of a phone and have a mobile camera? Do you want to use multiple phones and have different vantage points, different perspectives, all on mobile? If you've seen any videos by people like Ty Lopez or sometimes Mark Cuban will show some of these cameras. They are a lot of the times using a bunch of phones, which you might be thinking, oh, well, you can't get that high quality with them. Well, they do. They figure it out. They test it out and they see what works for them. So figure out what camera you want to use. You got to have a microphone. Now, some cameras will have microphones that will work for your purposes. Others will not. You will need a good microphone. Okay? One of the things that is fundamental or fundamentally important to a video is audio. Okay? While the camera gets the imagery, the microphone gets the audio. Because if you can't understand what somebody's saying, if you can't hear them, if it's not clear, then how are they supposed to understand what you're trying to convey to them? Your listeners can't understand your message. So it's very important to have a good working microphone that picks up exactly what you're saying. Next is a computer. okay? You're going to need a place, and computer goes hand in hand with editing software. You're going to need a place to compile all of the video, and you're going to need a place to edit it. So that means having a computer. Now, most people in this day and age have computers. You may even be watching this video on a computer. So I'm going to assume that you have a computer. You need a computer for many different purposes. And if you're trying to succeed in content creation, you have to have a computer. That's an absolute necessity. So I'm just going to assume that you have one. But once you do have that computer, you also need editing software. Now, there are a lot of good options that exist for this. If you have a Mac and you don't really want to spend any more money, iMovie is a great starting platform. It gives you a lot of functionality, and it really allows you to do a lot of great things. That's iMovie on the Mac. For PC, you have a lot of different options. And for Mac, you don't have to just use iMovie. Google a good software, go watch reviews on YouTube, and go find a software, an editing software that works with you. I typically like to go find 30-day free trials or 2-week free trials or some sort of trial so I can test it out before I make the investment into software. But to each their own. I'm just telling you the equipment that you need. So again, creativity, camera, microphone, computer, editing software, and location. That is the equipment you need. So hopefully by addressing the 3 subpoints of the different types of content, a system of making it, and the equipment needed, you understand what content is. And just to summarize, content is everything that you consume on the internet. When you go on different websites and you see a video, that's content. When you go to a blog and you're reading an article, that is content. When you're listening to music on the radio, that is content. When you see a picture that your friend sent to you over text message, that is content. Everything that you consume, and by consume I mean read or listen to or look at, all of those things are content. And content creation is simply a system for creating it. Okay, so now we understand what content is, and I want to talk about why you, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, need it. Okay, why do you need content? Well, again, content is king. If you are going to put yourself out there as an entrepreneur in today's age, you absolutely need content, because content is how you put yourself out there. And you can do that in 3 ways. The first of which is marketing. Okay? Marketing is, at its core, or I want to give you an analogy. Marketing is, if you're owning a shop, marketing is the guy outside of the shop spinning and twirling the sign, pointing people to the store. Marketing is putting your product, putting your service, putting your brand in front of as many different people as you possibly can. On the online space, marketing is reaching as many people as you possibly can. And one of the most effective ways to do that is by creating massive amounts of content. So why do you need content? And why do you need content creation? Well, for one, content, when in regards to marketing, it gives you a ton of free traffic. Okay? When people are looking for your content, when people are opting in to consume your content, that is free traffic. You do not have to pay for that traffic because people are searching for your content. So in effect, your content is attracting people. Okay? So it is free traffic. When you put up a video on YouTube and you just leave it there, it's going to get some views. Now, depending on the size of your channel, the different keywords that you chose for it, the title of the video, the thumbnail, the subject of the video, depending on a lot of different factors, you may or may not have a ton of views, but all of those views are for free. Now, you can promote your video on YouTube, and you can on Facebook, and there are a lot of different ways to promote your video, but just simply putting out a video, putting out content, is getting you free traffic, organic traffic. And let me tell you, when you are an entrepreneur and you are trying to find customers, there is nothing more rewarding than free traffic, okay? Because you literally do not have to pay a dime for people to see your product, service, or brand. So free traffic is great. And as entrepreneurs, we should be getting very creative on how we attract free traffic. Now, I keep using this word attract, and that kind of leads me into my second point about marketing. So why do I need content creation for marketing? Well, free traffic. Content equals traffic, equals organic traffic, okay? Second point I want to make is that this traffic are potential customers. This traffic is comprised of potential customers, of prospects, of consumers. So you're putting out content and you are attracting customers, okay? It's like flies to honey. When you put out the honey, when you put out your content, all the flies come to it. They flock to it. They are attracted to it. And the same goes for content. When you have very valuable, very helpful content, for example, the definitive guide to content creation, a lot of people are going to need that. So a lot of people are going to be searching for that. And when they find your piece of content that addresses their needs, you have now attracted a customer to your brand. Because they're consuming your content, you are building a relationship with them. You are establishing trust with them. When you are giving them the answers to the questions that they have, they are developing a relationship with you. And not only that, but they're doing it in a very positive manner. When you help somebody, they're thankful, they're grateful, and they're going to remember that, right? So when you get bombarded with content in your email, for example, and none of it is helpful, that's kind of aggravating, okay? But let's say that you had a very specific question about sunglasses, and Sunglass Hut sent you an email with an article that explained to you the exact thing that you had a question about on your sunglasses. You would find that very helpful. You would consume that content, and any time Sunglass Hut sent you another email, you would probably pay attention, and you would look to consume that content. All the while, Sunglass Hut is marketing to you. You are being marketed to, but you're accepting it because they're giving you value. So that is the appeal of content. One, you get tons of free traffic as a business owner, which if you don't like free traffic, you're probably not going to go far in business because it's a no-brainer. Free traffic, it's free. Get it, get as much of it as you can. So content generates free traffic. All of that traffic is comprised of potential customers. So content attracts customers. And the third point that I want to make regarding marketing and content creation is that content is a much better way to sell people on your brand than direct sales. And here's why I tell you this. Most people, when they want to buy, let's say, a new iPhone, They don't want to just have ads for iPhones thrust upon them. That will turn people off, and they don't want that. In this day and age, people are not going to accept that, just having the same marketing message shoved down their throat. However, if as AT&T or as Apple, you provide your potential customers with content related to picking a new phone, features of this new phone. Here's how this new phone changed my life. Here's how this new phone improved my business. Any sort of content related to the phone, you will be much more likely to consume because you're looking for a new phone. And so instead of businesses using direct sales, smart businesses are going to use content. And so instead of selling somebody on the price of a phone, you can sell somebody on the applications of the phone, on the uses of the phone, on the benefits of the phone, all through creative content. And it is a lot less salesy than directly trying to sell them. So again, the 3 points I wanted to make about content creation and marketing are that 1, content generates free traffic. 2, content through that free traffic attracts customers. And 3, once you have those customers, the content will convert prospects to customers a lot better than an ad that says buy me now. It will. It will every single time. So content creation is a critical part of marketing, okay? But that's not all. It's also important to branding. Now you may be saying, okay, what's the difference between branding and marketing? Marketing is trying to get somebody to buy something. Branding is when you hear that name, you think, oh, that company, that's a good company. When you hear the name Gothard Enterprises, I want you to think content creation. I want you to think social media marketing. I want you to think marketing. I want you to think social media. So that's how I'm going to brand my company. Okay? So that's what branding is. Now, how is content and content creation useful in branding or for branding? Well, there are 3 different ways. The first is exposure. Okay? Simply by putting out massive amounts of content, you are dramatically and exponentially increasing the amount of exposure that you have online, on the internet. Okay? And you can use this to your advantage because if you put out more content than your competitors, chances are more people are going to see and consume your content than they are that of your competitors. So content creation is very important for exposure because you can take content and you can use it, or let me rephrase it, you can publish it on many different platforms. So you can put a video on YouTube, you can put it on Instagram, you can put it on Facebook, you can put it on Twitter, you can put, let me rephrase what I said, you can put snippets on Instagram and you can put snippets on Snapchat. But you see how one video can go so far, right? So if you're constantly creating tons of content and constantly putting it on all these different mediums, then you're gaining a lot of exposure. And this goes back to what I was saying with marketing. All this exposure leads to all the free traffic. So branding and marketing clearly go hand in hand. But I think exposure is more important for branding because the more times that you see a company, the more times that you are exposed to a brand, the more likely that you are to recognize the brand, to do business with the brand, and to associate the brand with whatever products or services that they are offering. So putting out tons of content and having a strong system of content creation is very important for getting more exposure and for branding. Okay, so that's the first point I wanted to make with branding. But what is the benefit of having all of this exposure? Well, like I said before, when I was talking about marketing, you get a lot of free traffic. In addition, once these people start consuming your content, you are building relationships with these people. And by these people, I mean prospective customers, okay? Because you're going to create content that is relevant to your industry. So you're going to be building relationships with potential customers, okay? This is huge. When you build when you build relationships with your customers, you establish trust. And when you establish trust, people are more likely to buy from you. So, by constantly putting out tons of content and having people constantly consume your content, and by having them use the things that you're teaching them and put into practice the principles and the ideas and the concepts that you are teaching, the value that you're giving them, when you're giving them value, because that is an important part of content creation, you are building relationships with those people. You're building trust with those people. And when they go to buy a product or service similar to yours, or a product or service that is yours, they are going to go with your company over the competitors. If they've been consuming your content and they trust you and they like what you have to say, they're going to buy from you. They're going to do business with you. So one huge benefit of putting out tons of content is that your potential customers have a chance to interact with you in a very non-salesy manner. So they get to build a good relationship with you. Therefore, you build trust with them, and then they're going to come buy from you later. So, again, the important part of content creation when it comes to branding, the two important parts that I've talked about so far are exposure, and through exposure, you get to build relationships, and through relationships, you get to build trust. Now, what does all of this do for you? Besides leading to, more buyers, more sales, higher revenue, smile on your face because of all the money that you have, but you are also establishing your expertise. You are establishing yourself as an expert in the field, in the industry, in the niche, and you are becoming the go-to person for that specific niche, that specific market, okay? So in that market, okay, let's say you are a maker of sunglasses. Let's say you make sunglasses and you host a study, a year-long study on the effects of different types of shades on UV protection. You do this massive study and you involve a ton of people, you make a whole hoopla about it, and you get a ton of people into the study and you make sure everybody hears about it. Okay, by doing that, people now know that you know a lot about UV protection. And they know that if they want to protect their eyes from the sun, you've already done this massive study on it. It's a year-long study that nobody else has ever done. So chances are they're going to look at you as an expert. And chances are when they want to buy sunglasses from somebody, and if they care at all about UV protection and having their eyesight last because their eyes are being protected from the sun, they are going to come to you because you are the expert. They're going to ask your opinion. And then you can recommend them a certain sunglass brand or a certain brand of filter on the sunglass that you own. You can sell them your product because it directly solves their problem that you are an expert in. So because they trust you, because you had all this exposure, you built a relationship with them, you established trust, and you positioned yourself as an expert in your field, people now want to do business with you. And people trust you a lot more. And rightly so, because you do have more expertise than anybody else in that one particular field. So you have earned that position as an expert in the field. Now, apply that to your own business. What if you became an expert in a very specific niche? Let's say, for example, that you specialize in Twitter marketing for gyms. That's all you did. Every single day, you got up and you marketed gyms on Twitter. That's the only thing you did. And you consistently put out content that helped out gym owners by telling them how to market their gym on Twitter. That's all you did. Okay? Whenever anybody had a question or has a question about how to market their gym on Twitter, guess who they're going to come to? You. Because you're the expert in the field. They're going to come to you for advice on that very specific topic, on that niche. And if you have a service-based business where you sell your services as a Twitter marketer for gyms, when they come to ask you questions, you can answer them. And you can say, well, because of my experience here, here, and here, I know that you should try X, Y, and Z. Oh, and by the way, if that doesn't work out for you, I can always help you out. This is actually what I do for a living. And so that is a fantastic way to pick up more business. So let's talk about branding. So at its core, branding is getting your name out there. When people see your brand or they hear your brand, they associate it with something. You have to choose what that something is, and you have to hammer that something down. When people think Gothard Enterprises, they think social media marketing. When people think Apple, they think computers. They think iPhone. When people think Epiphone, they think guitars. So you need to find out what your brand needs to be positioned as, or if you already know, you need to continue positioning your brand as that, or continue positioning your brand in that manner. And to help you do that, you need to create an enormous amount of content. So you need to understand content creation. You need to have a good grasp of it. You need to have a good system for it. You need to have all the equipment. You need to understand the types of it. So you can see how this all goes full circle. So we've talked about marketing, about free traffic, attracting customers, and about being less salesy. We've talked about branding, about exposure, building relationships, building trust, and establishing yourself as an expert in the field. Now I want to talk about monetization. Okay? Because at the end of the day, in order to continue operating as a business, you need to make money. And I understand that. And content, not only does content help you with this, but content will help you separate yourself from the pack. Okay? How can you monetize your content? Okay? There are tons of ways. Okay? There are tons and tons and tons of ways. Okay? So, first, you want to leverage huge platforms. Okay? You can take a video that you create and you can put it on YouTube, and you can monetize on YouTube. YouTube will actually pay you to put your videos on their platform. Now, it's not very much per video, but if you put out enough of them, over time, it could add up to a lot. That's monetization. Now, YouTube is not the only platform that you want to monetize your videos on. There are plenty of others. Okay, but the important part is that you want to leverage huge platforms. Okay? If, for example, you are putting out images, okay, then what you can do is you can go to a stock image website and you can sell some of your images, and you can actually get a royalty for every time people use your images. So that's again just an example of leveraging. In this case, it would be Google, because that's how people would find your pictures, or find the platform that your pictures are on. But the point I'm trying to make is you need to leverage huge platforms, whether that be YouTube, whether that be Facebook, whether that be Twitter, Instagram, whether it be Amazon. Any way that you can find to monetize your content is good, because it goes into my third point, which I'm going to get to in a second. But what I'm talking about right now is monetizing on the front end. So you put up a video on YouTube and people watch it, you can get paid immediately, no questions asked. That is on the front end monetization. Now, not only should you leverage huge platforms, but you should also utilize different mediums. So, like I was saying earlier, there are different types of content. And each different type of content has its own strengths and weaknesses. Some people prefer consuming video content. Some people prefer consuming audio content. Some people prefer textual content. Some people just like to look at pictures. There's no right or wrong, because consumers get to choose how they want to consume content. And that's how it should be. You choose how you want to consume content. Do you like to listen to your iPod or your iPhone? Do you like to listen to the radio? Do you like to watch TV? Do you like to read books? All of these are different mediums for consuming content. So, when you are creating content, keep that in mind. Keep your customers in mind. Not all of your customers are going to want to consume your content via video. Some are going to want to watch, some are going to want to look at pictures. Others are going to want to listen to audio, and others are going to want to read it via text. So, in order to reach the largest number of people, you not only need to utilize different mediums, but you need to utilize different mediums and leverage different platforms for each of those mediums. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, you take a video and you put it on a ton of different platforms. You take audio, say a podcast, and you put that on a ton of different platforms. Then you take text and you put that on a ton of different platforms. And any pictures you have, you put that on a ton of different platforms. So you're taking all 4 types of content and you're leveraging it across huge platforms, and you're utilizing different mediums. So it's 4 different mediums: video, image, audio, and text, across many, many different platforms. And the biggest platforms, you want to leverage the biggest platforms. You want to make them work for you. You don't want to work for them. Okay? So, where am I going with this? Okay? You can monetize on many different platforms through ads, through different monetization strategies. You need to utilize all these different platforms in order to gain the most exposure, which goes back to branding, and get the most amount of traffic, which is marketing. Okay? Now, how this all ties together is on the back end. Okay, the front end, that's great. You're going to make a little bit of money. But where you're going to make the bulk of your money is on the back end. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, let's say that you have a podcast, and that podcast goes out to entrepreneurs. That podcast, or let's just say that podcast goes out to gardeners. It's a gardening podcast. And at the end of the podcast, you say, "This has been brought to you by Sally's Plant Shop. If you ever need any gardening supplies or tools, come on down to Sally's garden shop or Sally's plant shop. Okay? So you're monetizing on the front end. You're getting all that exposure, getting all that free traffic. You're attracting customers. You're building relationships. You're establishing your expertise. And then at the very end, on the back end, you are hitting them with your big offer. Come to my store. Buy my product online. Sign up for my email list. Whatever it is, you are monetizing that back end. And that back end is where you're going to make your most profit. So I'll give you an example of how I do this. So I am an author in addition to being an entrepreneur, CEO. And one of the ways that I market my books is through content creation. And one of the things that I do for my books is I'll make videos about some of the topics that I write about in my books. So I'll make a video, I'll put it out on YouTube. Well, then I'll put a link to my book in the description of the video. So not only am I getting paid to put the video on YouTube, but then people can come through that video, all that free traffic, and they can buy my book. That's monetizing on the back end, okay, because that's my offer. So I challenge you to apply this to your own business. And you can, in any industry, any business, any field, any niche, any market, doesn't matter what it is. You can absolutely create content for it. You can absolutely monetize on the front end. And you can, without a doubt, monetize on the back end as well. Because people are the movers and shifters of our economy. People are the ones who make purchasing decisions. And you reach people through content. Okay, everybody consumes content. If you listen to the most successful people in the world, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, people like that, they are all avid readers. Okay, they read constantly. Therefore, they are consuming content. If you have good enough content that Warren Buffett is reading it, okay, then you can absolutely monetize that, okay? First of all, he probably bought your book, which means you got paid for that. And then, if in your book you have a call to action, like, okay, now that you've read this book, the next step is to, okay, now you're doing business with Warren Buffett. And that is incredible. Okay, you might not go for it, but you at least have the option. You give yourself the opportunity. Okay, and if he bought your book, you've already done business with Warren Buffett. He's already bought your book, and that speaks volumes. Okay, he's consuming your content. He's paid you for your own content. You'll monetize your content. That's fantastic. Okay, so again, what is content creation? What is content? Well, there are 4 types of content: videos, images, audio, text. You need an effective system for making it. You need effective content creation and effective content creation strategy. It needs to be efficient. It needs to be effective. It needs to be scalable. You need equipment to create content. Okay, you need creativity. You need the intangible creativity, but then tangibly, you need camera, you need a microphone, you need a computer, you need editing software, and you need a place in order to shoot videos. Okay, these are just the things you need. All the other types of content are also taken care of once you have all those things that you need for video. Okay, so that's what content and content creation is. Okay, but why do you need it as a business owner? Well, for marketing, you get tons of free traffic, you attract customers, and it is a lot less salesy than for marketing, you get free traffic, you attract tons of customers, and content is a lot less salesy than a straight advertisement. Okay, so you're going to have a better conversion rate. People are going to resonate with your brand more, and you're going to make more sales. Okay, that's for marketing. For branding, You need to build relationships with your customers. How do you do that? You need to be exposed to them first. Content gives you exposure, which allows you to build relationships with your customers, which allows you to build trust, which allows you to position yourself as an expert in your field, in your industry, in your niche. So once you are the go-to guy in your market, you will start getting tons more business. People will know you. People will seek you out to help them with their specific problems. That is what you want. You want to be an expert. Finally, all this content, you need to monetize it somehow. It needs to be worth your while. So you're going to leverage your huge platforms. You're going to utilize all the different mediums that they have. And in addition to monetizing on the front end through those platforms that you are leveraging, you're also going to add a back end to your content. Okay? Don't just put up content just for the sake of putting content, unless that's what you want to do, in which case it's fine. But if you're trying to make money, you need to have a purpose, okay? Are you trying to sign up people for your insurance company? Are you trying to get new patients for a doctor's office? Are you trying to make sales of your book? Are you trying to get people to sign up to your email list? Whatever it is, you need to have a goal, and you need all of that content, the back end, to send people to that goal, okay? So have an email sign up on every piece of your content. Have a link to your product page on every single piece of your content. Have a form to contact you. Have a link to a contact form at the end of every single piece of your content. Okay, that's how you monetize your content. That's what makes it worth it for you. Okay, so we've talked about all those different things. Now I want to talk about the big one. How do you actually do it? Okay, how do you actually create content? And how do you sustainably, effectively, efficiently, and scalably create content? How do you have an effective, efficient, and scalable system of content creation? How do you do it? Okay. There are 4 steps. First, you need to find your purpose. If you don't know why you're creating content, you need to figure that out first. Because if you don't know why you're creating content, then nobody else is going to know why you're creating content, and therefore they're not going to want to consume it. You need to find your why. Okay. Now I'm going to go through these 4 ways to do it pretty quickly, because there are going to be follow-up videos to each of these, and it's going to explain in a lot more detail exactly how to do it. So make sure you go check out those videos. So first is find your purpose. Okay, you need to find your why. The second is identify your community. You need to know who. So you have your why. You know why you're creating content. Okay, who is that content being created for? Okay, you know why. You have your reason, your purpose. Okay, but now you need your who. Who are you creating it for? If you're not creating your content for anybody, then nobody's going to see it. Nobody's going to consume it, and then it doesn't do you any good. I mean, if it's personally fulfilling to create content, then by all means create as much content as you want. But if you're not creating content with somebody in mind, your community in mind, then your content's not going to go far, because there's nobody who it's meant for. Okay? So step 1, find your purpose, your why. Step 2, identify your community, your who. Step 3, provide massive value. Okay, and this is one of the most important things. A lot of people think that just because they create content means that all of this should start working for them. They should start seeing tons of new customers. They should start making tons of money, and everything should just immediately work for them. Okay, the most important thing to do when creating your content is to keep your customer in mind. Okay, you gotta figure out why they want to consume your content, which has a lot to do with your purpose, why you're creating it. You need to think of who they are. You need to identify them as a specific part of the community, and then you need to think, what do they want? How can I provide value to them? How can I make their lives easier? How can I teach them, educate them, give, okay? Provide them, give them massive value, okay? And it's going to be up to you to figure out how you're going to do it, okay? Once you have done those three things, you've identified your why, you've identified your who, you've identified your what, and again, that's your purpose. Finding your purpose is your why, identifying your community is your what, identifying your community is your who, and providing massive value is your what. Then simply systemize and scale. Take $1, make it into 1,000. Take that 1,000, make it into 100,000. Okay? Systemize and scale. If you are creating a little bit of content and you're seeing success, systemize it. Okay? Get it down to, I need X amount of minutes or X amount of dollars, X amount of minutes or X amount of dollars to create this content. Okay? How much more is it going to take me to create 100 times this amount? Is it more efficient? Is it more effective? Is it scalable? Okay? You need to create a system, create a process for content creation, and you need to scale it. You need to scale it hard, because if you are going to continuously stay on the leading edge of your industry, which is what you need to do in order to stay recognized as an expert, you need to consistently be putting out immense amounts of content. Okay? Think about somebody like Tony Robbins. He is constantly creating content, whether that is videos on YouTube, whether it's blog posts, whether he's writing books, whether he's doing a podcast. The man is constantly creating content. And that is the reason why he is one of the top motivational speakers and top coaches, probably, at least in America, but probably the world. Okay? It's because he figured out that he needed to systemize and scale. And he did so. Okay? Tony Robbins, by the way, is worth over $500 million. If it worked for him, it can work for you. Okay? So hopefully I have given you some value in this video. This has been a content creation overview. So now you understand what it is, you understand why you need it, and you understand how to do it.
Hello everybody, how's it going? Thank you so much for watching this video, and I just want to again thank you for really sticking with us through this so far. Let's think about it in terms of what you can gain, right? Because by really understanding how to build a content empire, you are giving yourself the ability to brand like a corporation. You're giving yourself the ability to market like a very, very high level business can do, right? The systems that we're teaching you, they are going to do nothing but help you. They're going to help put your business out there. They're going to help you position yourself as an expert. They're going to help you with marketing, with customer attraction and retention, because you can continuously educate your existing customers. So again, that's why content creation is so important. That's why Dr. David Zimmels and I are so focused in on the content creation side of this whole wild thing that we call internet marketing. So if you want more, right, if you want even a bigger resource that moves beyond theory, and I actually break down step by step how not only I do it in my businesses, but how the professionals do it, just click on the link below and it's going to take you to that resource that Dr. David and I have put together for you. These trainings are going to continue. I want to continue giving content to you, so stay tuned for part 3. If you want more, make sure to click down below. All right, you have a fantastic day, and I'll talk to you soon.